Okay, hi everyone. So today I'm going to go through some information about the inner and outer solar system. This is going to be a short video that will introduce both the inner and then the outer solar system and the things that are similar and different about them. You'll use this information in your assignment later today. So let's start with in general, the inner planets and the outer planets. So away from the sun, there are 4 inner planets and 4 outer planets. And separating the inner and outer planets is an asteroid belt. So we'll focus on the inner planets first, and then we'll do the outer planets. But if you notice just from this image, there's some pretty clear differences between the size of the inner planets and the outer planets. So the inner solar system. The inner planets are the 4 planets that are closest to the sun and found inside the asteroid belt. Mercury, the first of the inner planets, it's the smallest of the inner planets. It has the thinnest atmosphere of the inner 4 planets. It's made up of iron and nickel, and it has no moon. So those are some key features of Mercury. Venus is the next planet. As we move away from the sun, Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system. It has a thick, toxic atmosphere that traps heat. Its surface is covered with volcanoes and canyons, and it also has no moon, similar to Mercury. The next inner planet is one you should be familiar with, Earth. Earth is the largest of the inner planets. It has an atmosphere that allows for the existence of living things. It has a surface of land masses, and what that means is it has mountains, canyons, hills, and valleys, which is a unique feature. It also has 1 moon. Finally, we have Mars. Mars is also known as the red planet. It has a thin atmosphere. It has iron-rich materials that form rust on the surface, which gives it that rusty red color, and it has 2 moons. So those are the 4 inner planets that are similar in size to each other. Some have moons, some do not, but those are the 4 inner planets closest to the sun. So in general, they are considered terrestrial planets, meaning land. They're closer to the sun, so they're warmer. They have no rings, they have less gravity, less mass, they contain volcanoes, they have thin or no atmosphere, they are more dense, they have few moons, they're smaller in size, orbit the sun quickly, have a solid rocky surface, and the days are longer. They have a weaker or maybe no magnetic field, and they're inside the asteroid belt. So this is quite different than the 4 planets I'm going to show you next. These are the characteristics of the inner planets. So this will be helpful to you in your assignment today. The asteroid belt, you've heard me mention it a couple times. The asteroid belt is a belt-shaped disk that separates the inner planets from the outer planets. It has many asteroids within the disk. So if you look, you can see Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Earth surrounded by an asteroid belt, and then you see the next planet, Jupiter. So asteroid belt is literally what it sounds like, a belt made of asteroids. All right, the outer solar system. The outer planets are the 4 planets that are furthest from the sun and outside of the asteroid belt. They also have some key features that make them quite different from the inner planets. Jupiter is our first one. Jupiter is considered a gas giant. It is the largest planet in the solar system. Color bands due to the particles in the atmosphere. It has 67 moons, and it rotates much faster than Earth, at least 2 times faster than Earth rotates. Saturn is known for its many rings. The atmosphere is made up of hydrogen and helium. It has 62 moons. Particles that make up the rings are made of ice, dust, and rock, and the inner rings revolve faster around the planet than the outer rings. So it's also considered an outer planet. Uranus orbits the sun on its side. It's the first planet discovered with the use of a telescope. It has 27 moons. the planet is so cold that the methane in the atmosphere can freeze. Methane absorbs red light and reflects blue light, which gives it that blue color. And the rings of Uranus are dark and hard to see, but they do have rings. So rings do exist. Neptune is the most distant from the sun. It's the coldest planet in the solar system, which makes sense if it's the furthest from the sun. It has 14 moons, too far away to see without a telescope, and it takes more than 100 Earth years for Neptune to orbit the sun. So it takes 100 times longer for Neptune to get around the sun than Earth. Neptune is the smallest of the outer planets. However, if Neptune was hollow, it could hold about 60 Earths. So it's still pretty big. And it has a similar atmosphere to Uranus, which makes it that blue color. So we call the outer planets gas giants. They have much cooler temperatures. They're bigger in mass. They do not have a solid rocky surface, a strong magnetic field. They're considered outside the asteroid belt, larger in size, further from the sun. They have many moons. They don't just have one or two. They have 20 plus moons. They have a stronger pull of gravity, less dense, no volcanoes. If they're made of gas, they have no volcanoes. Longer orbit. They all have rings, a thick atmosphere. They rotate quickly on their axis, and their days are shorter. So, in general, the inner and outer planets, the similarities, they are spherical, so they're shaped like a sphere. They have an elliptical orbit, so their orbit is oval-shaped. They travel around the sun. They're the largest object in their orbit. Each planet is the largest object in their orbit. And they would push smaller objects out of the way as they move through. So, that's in summary information about the inner and outer planets and what their similarities and differences are. You're going to be going through what's called a scoot, moving around the room and identifying if it's describing an inner or outer planet for today's activity.